Hi, loves. Thanks for joining me for another mental moment. And today I want to visit the topic of personal boundaries. Now, I'm going to do a little bit of reading here as well, just to help you out. So, boundaries means anything that marks a border. It can be real or imagined line, and it marks the edge or limit of something, or the limit of a subject, principle, or relationship. And personal boundaries are guidelines, rules, or limits that a person creates to identify reasonable, safe, and permissible ways for other people to behave towards them and how they will respond when someone passes those limits. Now, why are boundaries even important? I'll tell you. Healthy boundaries are necessary components of self-care. Without boundaries, we feel depleted, taken advantage of, taken for granted, or intruded upon. So, whether it's in a work or a personal relationship, poor boundaries can lead to resentment, hurt, anger, and burnout. We don't want that. So, boundaries really help us take care of ourselves. It gives us the permission to say no and not to take on everything, not other people's stuff. It gives you a safe space. And boundaries draw a clear line around what is okay for us and what is not okay for us. So, while some behaviors clearly cross the line for almost anybody, we all have different comfort levels when it comes to many topics and forms of intimacy and privacy and all sorts of things. A boundary can be set around pretty much anything. Now, the reason I'm even bringing that to us is that it is a key piece of our mental health. And it's a key piece of the tools of mental health, I should say. But it's also a difficult thing for us to enforce, partially because we also have to understand what our boundaries are, how we want to enforce them, and then to actually enforce them. Now, boundaries become more difficult to apply to relationships that are close to you, because a lot of times, either from influence of culture or from influence of closeness, people believe that nothing is off bounds. Not everybody, some people. And when you actually present a boundary, the reaction might be good, but it might not be so good. And my advice to you is communicate your boundaries respectfully. It is probably a knee-jerk reaction to become a little bit uptight, wound up, withdraw, or become a little bit aggressive around boundaries being crossed. But I'd say check yourself in those moments. Don't do the knee-jerk. Take a few minutes, take a beat if you need to, and respectfully communicate the boundary. Not always easy, not always possible, but try. And when you respectfully communicate the boundary, you need to also enforce that boundary. So you need to say no, or you need to dismiss or redirect. Now, most people will check that boundary, they'll recognize it, and they'll respect it. They may not like it, they may not understand it, but they will respect it. Some people don't see boundaries, they will double down. And when you reinforce, you may not get such a pleasant outcome or a pleasant response, but that's not something you can take on. I think once you communicate respectfully and you're very clear on what you've laid out, then you keep doing you. You keep moving on, because it is important for you to maintain your mental health and your mental safety. Once you're not ruining somebody else's day, ruining their self-esteem, their reputation, once you're not damaging another person, it's okay to set your boundaries and keep it moving. Have a fantastic day. Set those boundaries.